Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Pitch Side Podcast channel. I'm your host, the HOD of the PSP, and welcome back to another video. Like, share, comment on the video, subscribe to the channel, of course, and enable notifications to receive the updates of the videos on this channel. All sorts of content. Follow us on social media, SLPSP on Twitter, Pitch Side Pod on Instagram, and listen to the podcast returning tomorrow on Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you can get it from. Let's crack on with what we have in hand, really. The game between Fulham and Tottenham, of course, has been postponed, and understandably, of course, expectedly, I would say, it was postponed because of COVID cases announced for the London club in Fulham. They announced today, of course, that a number of the club's players and the first team staff returned positive COVID-19 tests, which means that the fixture has to be postponed per the regulations of the Premier League. That comes, of course, just days after postponing the game between Everton and Manchester City for the same reason, of course, hours really before the game. Same here, I heard rumours circulating since the morning really that the game was going to be postponed. There was uncertainty about whether this game was going to be taking place or not, and now we know that it's not going to be taking place as scheduled. What this means for the game, I think this means obviously that the voices are going to be louder and louder now, as you know, now Manchester City have cases, Everton have cases, and now Fulham have cases. I think it's going to be louder than ever, the demands of stopping the Premier League for 2 weeks break. Those murmurs have been growing over the last couple of days. Certainly a decision like this would be divisive. Some managers and teams were against it, some managers and teams are for the stoppage. In my opinion, personally, I think yes, the Premier League should stop for 2 weeks, of course. I think it's about the right time, really. I mean, we're not exactly played like 30 or 32 fixtures in the season, so you could say, oh, but there's only 6 fixtures left, and we don't need to endanger ourselves and to play the rest of the season quickly. I mean, we still have. I mean, this is going to be throwing its effects on the Euros, isn't it? If the Premier League stops and the same happens in other leagues. It looks at the moment that it's only a Premier League thing, because the other leagues, Italy, Spain, France and Germany mainly, didn't really register a lot of cases among the teams. There wasn't exactly an outbreaks in the teams. I think the protocol has been applied more strictly, and I think it was better applied by those other leagues than the Premier League. Of course, I'm not saying that the protocol is not respected by the Premier League clubs, but I think Britain as a whole, I think, has a new surge of COVID-19 that makes it really, really harder than other countries and other leagues to play football. In my opinion, the Premier League should stop for a couple of weeks at least to get things under control a little bit, to sort of find a way to come around this situation. This is now, I think, this is now the third match in around 5 to 6 weeks that gets postponed for COVID-19 tests. There was Aston Villa Newcastle a couple of weeks ago, now Everton City, and in the space of 3 days or 2 days after that, there's Tottenham versus Fulham. What is that going to mean for the whole schedule? Because these games are going to be rescheduled. The fixture list is already congested, and it's going to be congested even more now with these kind of postponed fixtures. I think a stop for the Premier League would be wise enough to do for the moment. Stop it for a couple of weeks, get your hands around the situation, try to control, not the pandemic, but try to reduce the risk around the players, at least if you want to continue playing football. Barely saw the return of fans in some stadium. There were Tottenham Arsenal played with a couple of thousand fans in the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. The Anfield witnessed a couple of games now with fans. The Tottenham game, the West Brom game. We barely started to feel our way back into football with fans and this kind of I'm not going to say incidents, but mishaps, let's say, is going to be putting a lot of trouble on the Premier League higher executives. In my opinion, again, the Premier League should stop at the moment. The health of the players is utmost priority. I don't think there's anything that's going to be lost more than what is already lost if you're going to be stopping the Premier League in 2 weeks' time. Take a break, wrap your heads around the situation, try to control the protocol in the clubs, make sure things are safe really for the players to return. Unfortunately, for me as well, because I was about to do I thought to do a video about Tottenham Fulham. I'm doing a video about the game anyway. As you can see, this is a video about the game pretty much, but in other circumstances and other contexts outside of the match itself and outside of football. Overall, this is bad news. This is more bad news in the last couple of days after the Everton-Manchester City cancellation. This is, again, the third cancellation in a couple of weeks' time, and there will be, of course, surely there will be other games cancelled because of that. There's the Chelsea-Manchester City game is going to be at risk now. There's there's games that surely will be at risk for the next couple of weeks now, involving Everton, Manchester City, involving Fulham. Now, how is the situation is going to be, surpassed? How the Premier League is going to get over this? There's nothing official about stopping the Premier League, but again, the voices are growing louder and louder. I think Sam Allardyce, the West Brom coach, is the head sort of this movement to stop the Premier League action. And I know that might sound really desperate because a relegation side asking for the football to stop. I mean, we saw this happen last season with Watford when they decided to announce the season null and void, and some people interpreted it as Watford didn't want to go down, so they wanted to stop football. But I think at the time, back in March or April, whatever it was, when the football was stopped, I think there was more danger. Now I think there could be regulations that could be applied in place, but I don't think that we passed the danger yet as far as the Premier League is concerned. So that's it. That's all I have to say, really. I'm not gonna, rant too much about it. I think, of course, we hope the players and the staff of the Fulham team all a speedy recovery from the COVID-19 cases. Hopefully nobody else is hurt. Hopefully it's as minimum as it could come, really, for them. And that's it. Like, share, comment on the video. What do you think? Should the Premier League stop or should it not stop? Subscribe to the channel, of course, enable notifications to receive all the updates coming your way. I'm going to be doing another video in an hour time about something else. Expect that coming soon. Follow us on social media at PSP or PitchsidePod, Twitter and Instagram respectively. And since tomorrow, of course, the podcast is returning. Listen to it on Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you can get it from. I'm gonna try and talk a little bit more sense into the podcast episode. This is just a little bit of a quick rant, more or less. I was your boy, the HOD of the PSP, and until the next time, I will see you soon. Goodbye.